Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to me finally getting off my lazy ass and streaming again. I guess it was burnout. It was just, I couldn't really think of what I wanted to stream, but, I mean, I thought of a couple things. For one, to address the elephant in the room, for one, we should go ahead and check this now to see if there's anything new. Yes, Twitch. Be quiet. I'm also planning on streaming tomorrow, so, It's done. Okay. I look like a completely different person whenever I have like a full set of hair, but what I was gonna do is see what's new with this. Also, I'm gonna let you guys know, not really a secret, but something that I've been doing lately, and so far it's not. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It's just I'm trying to see something, but I haven't been taking my medication since I came back home from my trip to Colorado. And what I will say is I've noticed that my behavior is not rowdy like it usually is. Like, I'll be rowdy sometimes if I'm excited about something or if I'm happy, but I'm much more controlled about myself. But I don't know if it's because, but I'm taking a break from my medicine. I'll eventually take it, see if anything happens. But the reason why I popped this up is, see. Up! Yep! Yep, I'm coming. Alright, I'm back. I just had to do something real quick. Also, you might notice my voice. I'm not sick. It's just, well, you can kind of see it right here. Polluted air. Yeah, so there's these wildfires out west of us. Not like in Texas, but like, I don't know where exactly. But that's part of the reason. It's also because just, general allergy season. But I've been doing good. Like I said, I've taken a break because I'm gonna think about what I'm gonna do. I was trying to see if there was anything new here. Next, we're gonna go to PlayStation London Studios, see what's new. Because a few days ago I checked there and one of the job listings was gone. And a few days before that, another job listing was gone. I'm not saying this necessarily in that order. Still down to 6. Because what happened was, I believe this was either the day that I got home or the day after I got home. I checked on the London Studio website, and the multiplayer gameplay designer thing was gone. And then a few days ago, the animation program was gone. Pretty interesting. Now if you're unsure why I'm bringing all this up, is that there's been a long-standing rumor, and it has a lot of heft, a lot of evidence, you could say, that it is in fact happening. That is that we could very well be seeing an old friend once again. What we gotta do is just wait and see, because rumor has it, we have an event next week on Thursday, probably just going to be a normal state of play, but then we have another event that's rumored for next month. Now, the thing about that is, it would actually follow the same pattern as last year, because if you don't remember, last year we had an August event, which was a state of play, although it was focused on PS4 stuff, but now that the PS5 is out, and I'll talk about the PS5 specifically in a little bit. But last year, not right after, but a couple of weeks after their August event, we got the September showcase, and that was when we finally found out the prices for the two PS5 models. Now, getting to the PS5, according to Sony, well, voice cracks. Then again, this is why I sound like this. Like, I sound okay. It's not, I'm not sick. I'm not like, like ill or anything. It's just the pollutants in the air that are aggravating my, sinuses and stuff. But according to Sony, they have enough components to comfortably make PS5s, and because of that, they'll be able to reach their next goal, which is, I believe it was 22.5 million PS5 sold by next March. I have to say, that's good, because they have, enough chips, the chips that people have been going off about. They have enough of those that it's not a concern to them. Hopefully, this means that they can comfortably sell them, preferably in stores, because I remember one time in Walmart they actually saw a few in stores. Actually just one, but they actually had several more in the back. But it was actually a very happy day for me, because it was really nice to see actual people who wanted to buy and actively use a PS5 buying them. Because I was at Walmart that one day and I stopped by the games section to see what was new. And I looked down at the shelf where the game consoles usually are. Lo and behold, they had a PS5. I of course told the person that I already had one. And yeah. But then someone else eventually came over there, and I had actually seen them before. Well, it was actually earlier in the store, but they came over to the game section, and they actually saw that PS5, so they decided to buy it. And I was happy. like, the reason why I was happy about that isn't just that, oh, it's an actual person looking to actually use that. It's just, it's so nice to see that finally you could see in person someone who can actually buy one of those. Because when pre-orders came up, of course it was going to sell out because the PS5 was hot. Alright? But when the system came out, I was lucky enough to be able to order mine on Amazon. And I was able to, or not able to, but I got it a few days later on Sunday the 15th of November. But I'm talking about last year, not this year. But then after that, PS5s were extremely scarce, and then the chip shortage popped up, which meant that there would be a shortage of PS5s possibly until 2023. And to see that Sony has confirmed that they have the parts necessary to make the PS5's necessary to, not worry about that kind of thing, at least for now. That's very relieving to see. But it's also relieving to see, systems in stores and seeing people go up and buy them because they've been wanting one for so long. Because for a lot of people, they worked hard throughout last year. For me, throughout the summer last year, just to try and afford one. And for a lot of people to not even be able to do that because of scalpers and because of this chip shortage, partially due to the pandemic, but also because of the new game consoles being in such high demand, it's bittersweet, really. It's that the companies are struggling to make those, and people are struggling to get the consoles, but then whenever you see someone get it, you feel happy. I mean, I felt happy when I got mine, but then immediately after, I felt bad for the people who weren't able to get one. But from what I could tell with Sony saying that they have the parts necessary to make a bunch more PS5s, I feel like those people who have worked hard to try and get one might be able to get one. As long as they sell those consoles in stores. Was really interesting, speaking of which, I only saw this at Walmart, by the way, and this is a couple of months ago, but they had said that it's only one per customer, which is great. I love that idea, because that means someone can't just go in there and go like, I'd like to buy 5 PS5s. You seem like an asshole to buy 5 of those. Oh, they're for my kids. And then the person turns out to not even have kids. They're just saying that as an excuse to get more. Don't. 1 or 2 per household is okay. Alright? I have one. And I know my cousins want one, although I can't afford it, but but my point being, it's just good to see that Sony has at least some good news. Because we all know the PS5 is hard to get. But with this news that they have the parts necessary to make a whole lot more PS5s, whether it be the digital, which was what I was going to get for a little brief while, but then I thought, now I'm going to go the extra mile. That's how I got mine. I saved up a little bit more and I got it. But whether it be the digital or the standard model like mine, as long as things are good, you'll be able to get yours. Which is something that many people have wanted for God knows how long, since the PS5 first launched. That was all the way in November. But, getting to the second thing. Who's up for some city guesser? is what I would be saying if it wasn't for the fact that due to a certain Australian speedrunner, I have found out about another game similar in vein to GeoGuessr. It's not City Guesser, it's not like one of those things where you watch a video either. It's GTA GeoGuessr. Yeah. What? No way. But the gameplay that I saw was just like I think it was Franklin taking a picture with his phone. Like, he'd be doing a selfie and he'd be in a different location. Did they change it to be more like GeoGuessr? Or is this like a different one? Because I remember the one that I saw in a video being way different. No, it's not this. I used to like GeoGuessr, but after the stuff that they've done, yeah. Wait, is it this one? Wait. Oh. Oh, okay, now I see. So, I'm just gonna play this one. I'll go easy because it's gonna be my first time. Also, I see that I have a viewer. Hello. Sorry I didn't acknowledge that until now, but it might just be just someone watching. Oh. This is actually really cool. I have to admit, this is something. Man, you don't need an account. You don't need to pay anything. It's just boom here. And like I know this isn't the one that I was thinking of, but this is actually more than enough because it's just like the original GeoGuessr. Watch. I was trying to do the arrows to move. Okay. Oh, actually, speaking of GTA, I got a car recently in GTA. I don't have a driver's license. Okay, that sounds stupid when I say it. But I was trying. The second I say that, my brain just automatically thinks, are you saying you don't have a driver's license in GTA, or you have a car in GTA, but you don't have a driver's license in real life? That is what I meant, not me not having a license in GTA. I mean, unless it was more realistic. But in all seriousness, the car that I got was the Urus. Not that Urus. It's this one. This absolute beauty of a car right here. Which, by the way, this is actually a returning vehicle from my second favorite GTA game. I'm kidding. It's tied with this as my favorite. It's San Andreas. Of course, in San Andreas, it was a completely different car. I think it was based on the yeah, 300ZX. And what's really funny is this was before Rockstar made the car brands that they have nowadays, like Annis and stuff. But, dude, the fact that we have a returning car. And by the way, I don't think the GTA Wiki even touched on this, but I want to read you the description for this car, because it's actually something that not a lot of people know about. In fact, I don't think anybody knows about this little nod, if you will. I drove the Euros before it was cool. That's what you tell everyone as you drive your newly purchased NS Euros, loudly reminiscing about the music you didn't listen to, the fashion you never wore, and the parties you didn't get invited to back in the aughts. That is a reference to the timeline and the game itself, GTA San Andreas. Because the Euros was in that game. And I think I need to look up something real quick. I'll get to you in a second. Lots meaning. Maybe it's not a reference to GTA San Andreas. Because San Andreas takes place in 92. A whole 5 years before I was born. But, maybe it was, maybe it's this part that's the reference to the San Andreas game. Because this right here wouldn't make sense if it was a reference to San Andreas. Because I already mentioned just now that San Andreas takes place in 92, not 2000. But, yeah. Thanks, GTA Wiki. I forgot. This year's the 20th anniversary. This thing got discontinued. They always take the good ones. Oh yeah, I forgot. In a little over a month, it'll be the official 20th anniversary, albeit not a good anniversary, of 9/11. I don't quite remember what I was doing at that time, but what I do know is even nowadays, that day still haunts me. And the thing is, I don't have anyone who I've known personally who was involved in that, like, injured or anything. But just the fact that I know about it and what happened still fucking terrifies me. And, like, please note, at that time, I believe I was 4 years old. Because, I was born in 97, so 98, 99, 2000, 2001. Yeah, I was 4. So I think I was still I think this was before I was in kindergarten, maybe. But, even still. Haunting. Something else. Speaking of, well, not really directly related to that, but it's what caused this. GTA 3 had to be delayed by 3 weeks due to this because, originally the World Trade Centers were going to be in GTA 3, but due to that event happening, they had to delay the game by 3 weeks and tweak some stuff, including removing the World Trade Center. And so it was released in October, and yeah. And the crazy thing is, this happens to be another anniversary we're going to be celebrating. And I do mean actually celebrating, because 9/11, we won't be celebrating that. We'll be commemorating that. Remembering it. I don't know. um, Alright, now that we're done piddling around, how about we actually get to modern GTA? Also, I know exactly where I'm at. Oh. I know exactly where I'm at, right? I am right. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, wait. Oh, that was weird. Should be over here, right? And that was close. Alright. If you're wondering how I was good at that, it's because of the fact that, I've had this fucking game since 2015. Unintentional mess up is unintentional. I'll be right back. That's a good way to get me laughing. Okay. Well, I know where this is. Let me just. Huh. Right. Now. Yeah, I know where this is. I think. Do I? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Silver. Okay, I'm trying to. Yeah, I know where I'm at. We are right here. Final answer. That was close enough. Okay. Third round. All right. Uh. Um. If I didn't know any better. Fort Zancudo, I see that tower. Alright. So, I think it's easy to deduce the fact that we are here. And the verdict says, not bad! I know this game like the back of my hand. Hey, that's new. I'm kidding. Ow. Hit my foot on one of my casters. Not Dreamcaster. I don't know what it is, but I'm just really excited to get to streaming again. But Oh, 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 oh. I know what that is. I think that's the Eclipse Towers, I think. Maybe. Okay. Time to hop and a skip and a smack a mosquito. Um... Actually, wait, hold on. Hold on. It's not here, is it? It's easy to see why I got that wrong. It's just, like, I guess I don't remember everything about the map, even though I literally play GTA on a daily basis. I even have my own routine about whenever I spin the lucky wheel. I what I do for the lucky wheel is every single day except Wednesdays I spin. The reason why I don't do Wednesdays is because okay. Imagine if I did spin the lucky wheel on Wednesday, but it was like late at night. That means I would have to wait until, the new event week, but in the evening or something to spin the wheel. So what I do is, if it's a vehicle I happen to be really interested in, I'll do the wheel spin glitch where, if it doesn't end up almost landing on where I want, like, okay, here's what I mean. So the wheel spin glitch is really simple. At least if you're on console. When you spin the wheel, watch where it lands. If it looks like it's going to land on the vehicle, you're fine. If it doesn't and you really happen to want the vehicle, close the application. It won't save what you've done, so you can just keep trying over and over and over. The amount of time it takes for you to eventually win the vehicle is RNG based, but for me it doesn't really take that long, partially because the PS5 has faster loading times than a PS4, which is way better, I might add. Um, but then whenever I do win the vehicle, I still spin the wheel anyway, but again, I leave Wednesdays blank. Because what I like to do is, because I spun the wheel yesterday at, I think about 9 a.m. or something, but what I'll do is, because I'm skipping out on Wednesday, it resets the timer for the lucky wheel, so that way by the time it's, the new event week, the wheel will be ready for me to spin. So I don't have to wait longer than I really should. Yeah, I genuinely thought it was this one, but oh well. Uh, I think I know where this one is. Yeah. Yeah, I think I do. There's this church. Over here. It's gotta be over here. Is it? I did really good. I also hear that our neighbors are playing music next door. Sounds good, but I hope it's not being caught. You know, like on mic. Because as good as that music sounds, I kind of don't want to deal with any copyright claims or anything. We're gonna do another round, and then after this, we're gonna go to City Guesser, because it's been a while since I played that. Who knows? Maybe they'll have new content. Maybe it'll be the same old thing. And maybe I'll still suck ass at it. But at least, I'm happy to admit that I suck ass at it. Alright. Custom. No. No, I'm gonna do easy. Okay. Also, this is fantastic, by the way. I love this. I know I was looking for the other one where it's Franklin doing a selfie in a random location and you have to guess where he's at. But this is just as good, if not maybe a little bit better. I mean, no offense to the original creator that, by the way, of GTA Guesser. But yeah, it's the thing I like about this one is that it's just like the original almost said GTA. The original GeoGuessr, in that you get to move around, you get to decide where you are and stuff. Yeah. Now we need is a GTA version of City Guesser. And that could be for like any of the GTA games. Except the 2D ones, because the 2D ones are like small maps. You'd know right away where you're at. Plus, it's kind of easy to know where you're at if you're watching a video of a 2D video game from top down. Because since the maps are so small in those games, it's like, I know where that one is! Like 2 seconds after the video starts. But if it's a 3D game, or the HD series, or HD universe, then it'll be better, I guess. But the point I'm trying to make is, a City Guesser GTA thing. That'd be awesome. But I'm happy with this, though. I'm really, really happy with this. Because, for one, it tests my knowledge of GTA 5's map. It'd be kind of funny if there just so happens to be Cayo Perico, but I don't think so. No, it's not. It's just San Andreas. I'm sorry, Southern San Andreas. Stop doing that. Okay. I know where this is. We're right here. Mark my damn words. This is where we're at. $5K. And I know exactly where this is. And okay, so I'm gonna go off and deviate from this real quick, because there's a vehicle that I got a couple of months ago that I have no regrets buying in GTA Online. I'm talking, of course, about the festival bus. They had this event week a couple of months ago where, for one, I think it was either nightclubs that had triple income. Yeah, it was nightclubs. So I did nightclub popularity missions, but I also did the client jobs, because those were double money. Which, by the way, How often does that happen? We almost never get any client jobs, like double money client jobs. I think the only other time they've done that was when the Terror Bite came out. But seriously, like, they need to start doing that more often because those missions are fucking fun. Especially if you have an Oppressor Mark II. And you use it correctly, not to grief other people. You know who you are. Yeah, I got this. And I also bought the Neon, but I sold it at a later point because I just didn't really use it all that much. It was a cool vehicle, it's just... eh. But I will admit, though, I haven't used this vehicle in a couple of months, but I still have no regrets buying it. Because for one, you could have parties. Yeah. So here's... wow, voice crack. Here's a relatively unknown fact about this bus. Although, I'm pretty sure some people know about it, maybe. This bus has a unique feature. It doesn't have a horn. Why is that so special, you may ask? That's because of the fact that in place of the horn, it is actually a toggle button. That, whenever you press the horn button, instead of honking a horn, and this is especially noticeable at night, but when you press the horn button, the lights on the bus actually turn on, like the neon lights. And if you're playing music and you get out of the bus while the lights are on, it keeps the bus on. And that means that you'll be able to keep the music going. So you could have like a really cool beach party, or I was about to say, if you have a festival bus and you're in the desert, you could probably host a pretty cool out of this world party. Maybe. Also, I know exactly where this is. This is, I think I know. Yeah, we're just outside of it. Yeah. Starting to look like an American version of Dark Viper AU. Cato! Hang on, I have to get something. Pardon the noise! Ow. First me and my obsession with Nerf guns. Somebody call for a cattle gun? boy. I'm such a nerd. That's why people love me. I'm gonna put this big bitch up. I don't think I can. Oh. This very long, drawn-out advertisement has been brought to you by the fictional Cato gun. Forget ballistic. This is meowlistic. I think I might know where this is. Yeah, oh yeah, I know. This is, without a doubt, yeah, it's got to be here, around this area. I was close. Oh well. Birds! Oh, truck's towing a boat. This actually reminds me of something I did once in GTA Online. This is actually something you can do. It's actually it's really funny, and it's got a really strange quirk to it. But those boats aren't just there for show. You can press the enter vehicle button and enter the boat when you're on top of it, and you'll start it up just like you would with any other vehicle that's still working. But what's even funnier is you can't move it around because it's obviously hitched on that trailer. But you can actually like you can do the engines or the motors where it's like but the interesting quirk is however fast the vehicle towing it is going is how high the engines will be revving on the boat. So if you scare the driver of the car and they start driving fast, it'll be like I always thought that was super funny because to a new player, just someone in general who doesn't know about that, you wouldn't think anything of it. You would think, oh, it's just someone taking a boat on vacation, I guess. But to someone who's been playing GTA 5 for a fair while and has been learning new things, this was mind-blowing to me whenever I found it out. And, like, the funny thing is, it'll still work if, a player is driving that same vehicle. So, it's actually really funny. And to make things even cooler, I think the boat actually will work in water, which is awesome. As for where we are, though, I don't know. Oh, actually, I think I do know. It's, wait. I'm probably gonna be wrong, but oh, that's way wrong. But I had the right idea though. It was on that road. It was just over here. But glad to see I wasn't too far off the right trail. Now this, oh, yeah, I know this place. Yeah. Okay. Should be right here, right? Oh. Again, I had the right idea. I was just on the wrong road. It was this one, but I had the right idea. It was just I didn't realize, like, okay, when you look at the picture that you're looking at, you know, taking in the surroundings, you would think that it's this bigger one, and hell, I even thought that, but the road is actually smaller now that I think about it. What's the verdict? It is, hey, that's actually a better score than my last one. But, now to get on to the other guesser, and I don't mean GeoGuessr, City Guesser. Which, by the way, I highly recommend that you play it because it's really fun. Thanks for giving away the location within the first second. Now the question is, where in Seattle? My guess is not here. Oh, I think I know where this is. I think it's Omaha. So I think I've had this before and it was in Omaha. Yes! Got it. The good thing is, you can play this as long as you want. There's no limits on, oh, you have to set up how many things you want. Which is good, because it's a lot more lax when it comes to gameplay, where it's like, you just play at your own pace. You don't have to worry about how many more things you have to do before you finish, and how long you have, and all this other stuff. Which is cool. I like that. Some of them, though, don't really give you clear indications of where you're at, and that's why sometimes I'll fail on something whenever it shows something like you're in a forest or something. Some of them I do know, like there's this one in Central Park or something. Yeah. Also, I'm glad to see my connection's doing good. Like the mishaps I've had several weeks ago. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, you can actually see the cameraman. I saw a license plate, but I'm not sure if it said, Wisconsin or what. I will admit, though, I've had this chair for a couple months and it feels good. Like, it'll still feel a little achy to get out of the chair, but it's partially because of my posture sometimes. But, like, sitting like this, or sitting the way that I'm supposed to be sitting, good. That's not good. Losing my balance, almost smashing my face into the keyboard. Yeah. High times! I'm not high, I'm just... Eh. Yep, there's the guy. The question is, where am I? Because I thought it said Wisconsin. But where in Wisconsin? It may not even be Wisconsin. I could just be talking out of my ass. Yeah, this is a thing. So Nerf actually has released a new lineup of dragon-inspired Nerf blasters as a tie-in to D&D. And speaking of D&D, Magic the Gathering has a tie-in as well. Because I was in Walmart, I think yesterday, and I saw it. I was at the front where the trading cards are, and they actually had a D&D Magic the Gathering thing. It was really cool. It wasn't an event. It was actual like packs and stuff, which is really cool. Personally, I'm not into D&D or Magic the Gathering. I do plan on getting into D&D at some point, but maybe whenever I find the right people to play with. But yeah. Oh, that's cool. He's got a little backpack on. That's cool. I actually used to wear backpacks when I was out walking. Ooh, that's a nice looking Corvette. I think that was a Corvette. I don't know. But due to events that have happened in the past, like they were a while back, but there were still things that led me to not bring a backpack anymore. I've since stopped using one. For one, there was the Parkland massacre, and then there was the Las Vegas shooting. Yeah. But after that, my papaw said maybe it's not a good idea to wear a backpack because it's not me being grounded. Because I mean, I'm in my 20s. I'm not gonna get grounded. It's just it's more of a safety precaution because nowadays if someone sees someone wearing a backpack, they'll either think, oh, I guess that someone just brought that in case they brought something like a snack or a drink. Or if it's like a bigger backpack, like a school backpack, I guess. Which I actually used to use my school backpack as the backpack I would bring. But eventually, because I knew about how bulky it was, I ended up using this knapsack because it was lighter. However, it was a little bit more cumbersome because the straps were a little bit more flimsy, where they're just like, whoa! So I had to sort of like crisscross it on my body to where it stuck better. But even then, it's just that nowadays, because of the nature of people, not all people, just, you know what I mean? It was just more of a safety reason, and, you know, it's, I don't want to be seen as suspicious when I'm the polar opposite of suspicious. I'm a very well-meaning person, but I don't want to be seen as the opposite of that. But, yeah. Nowadays, I just carry things in bags if I buy something. So, no biggie. Anyway, ow. There we go, hitting my foot on my casters again. And that bruises. Budweiser, I didn't see that. I'm gonna turn on my fan because I feel like I'm gonna cook. Alright, I'm back. I still don't know where this is. You know what? I'm just gonna guess. It's gonna be Appleton. There's Crystal Lake. Now I know the next time I have this, I'll know where it is. Assuming I don't forget within the next 2 minutes. Or less. Look at that snow. I still had PTSD from this shit, by the way. Well, not actual PTSD, but I assume if you're an American viewer, you already know what I'm talking about. People made memes about us for weeks on end. But basically, back in February, literally the day after my birthday is when this happened, we had a power outage because of a massive snowstorm that made it way too cold for the power supply to stay steady. And for us, the power was out for literally 30 hours. At least 30 hours, I mean. And let me tell you, it was the worst experience I have ever dealt with since middle school. Because you're just sitting there not knowing what time it is, and since the power's out, you can't charge your phone and then occasionally check on what the time is. And because the power's out, you can't cook food. And as you're dealing with all that, it's steadily getting colder and colder in your house, little by little, so you have to preserve heat. So whenever I was sleeping, like, that night when we had the power outage, like, it took me quite a while to get sleep, and even then I was, like, cold even under all my sheets. But, the next day, we still didn't have any power. My papa said we briefly had power, but then it just shut off. But, you know, even still, it's just not fun. I'm gonna go to Seattle because why not? Well, I'm not surprised. San Fran. San Fran. Yeah, we did eventually get power again, and at first we had to be cautious, because they told us to be, like, cautious about our power, but we knew that the power was going to be alright, so we just went back to what we normally do. I will admit, though, it put me on edge whenever we got the power back, because I was like, oh god, on one hand, I want to play my video games for a while, but at the same time, I'm worried that we're going to have no power again, and I don't want to freeze to death. But, let me tell you,
An orange tree.
this weren't no simple power outage. People fucking died from this. And if you want to know how many people died from the power outage, or, the power surge, I'm not sure if you could see it, but, oh, actually you can. So this is based on a data-driven report. And this is just reported by the state itself. I want you to put into perspective the factor of people who happen to have had medical equipment that had to be hooked up to a wall for them to stay healthy. Like someone on a respirator that they had because they had COVID or something. And then there were people making memes about Texas because, oh, well, it's obvious you guys can't handle weather like this. Well, yeah, no shit. We're Texans. We don't deal with snow. You want to deal with snow, go up north. We Texans deal with the summer heat. We're accustomed to that. But the second that you bring snow into the mix, it's the equivalent of, like, to put this into perspective, imagine if someone who is so used to living in a cold climate was brought over to a burning hot climate like Arizona or something, and they had to stay there for 30 hours. What do you think is going to happen to that person who is used to living in cold temperatures? Like Alaska or something? Let me tell you, the same exact frickin' thing would happen. They would struggle because they wouldn't be used to it. As someone who has only seen snow one other time like this, like 10 years ago, and like even then we didn't have any power outages, or I think we did, but it was certain other parts of the state, not fucking almost 70%. Including me, or us, all our neighborhood, I mean. Yeah, it's not fun. And like, the thing about the memes is that I get that it's just people poking fun at us as a light joke, but you have to consider the fact that people frickin' died, right? It says here, according to SA Current, San Antonio Current. By the way, this was literally like an article from late May this year. And you want to know the main reason why that happened? It's because our electrical grid wasn't weatherproofed. Yeah. That's it. Because, like, in the days leading up to that, we knew we were in for some winter weather. Some snow. Little did we know it was going to do this. But I don't see why the electrical companies didn't think, we have all this snow coming up. Why don't we try our best to weatherproof the systems to make sure people can stay inside and stay warm and have all their power? That would be a good idea. But they didn't frickin' do that! Which meant nearly 70% of all Texans, myself included, and my folks and all that, guess what? We were without power for 30 hours, I think. Again, put that in just perspective. Someone who's used to, warmer temperatures, having to deal with 30 hours of that. My phone made a ding sound. Not like the sonic ring, but it's this thing on iPhones where someone can like your post, or not post, but your message. And my mama a couple of hours ago said that she loved me and missed me, and I said I love you too. And apparently you can love someone's message. I'm hoping this doesn't lead to her trying to, yank me aside and take me to her house, because as much as I love going over there, she really needs to stop being so desperate to have me over there. Just saying. Anyway, I guess I'm gonna check on this again. Because why not? Yeah, it's still 6. Yeah. Seth MacFarlane regrets that Family Guy is airing on Fox. Because Disney! Oh, yeah, Let this be a lesson, people. Just because we're Texans doesn't mean we can handle snow. In fact, I think we're more suitable for high temperatures. You know, like what we're dealing with right now. Alongside air pollution. Also, I keep looking at this. I don't know why, but so makes me wonder, because Sega said back in 2018 that, hey, so we're interested in making a next-gen Sega console. And the thing is, like, we know they could do it. Because, like, I know that nowadays the console market, like, it's still got some competition, but it wasn't, like, cutthroat back in the day. I mean, it was cutthroat back in the day, but I think with what Sega has learned now, along with the large list of games they have and what they can do with this new platform, if they end up making one, I think that they have what it takes. I don't know about you, but I think they got what it takes. Because for one, they could do like what Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are doing and have indie games, you know, like Undertale and stuff like that. They could have third-party stuff, you know, like obviously GTA 5 comes to mind. Of course, Call of Duty, although we're trying to avoid talking about that because of the current situation going on with I'm legally not allowed to say the names because of reasons. But I will say, that's certainly a thing that they could do as third party. And of course, Sega did mention kind of recently that they were interested in bringing back old IP. I have a few things that come to my mind. For one, Vector Man! Because, you know, Vector Man was pretty cool. I have Vector Man on my Genesis Mini. Then again, it came pre-installed. Let's see. Stop yawning! No. I swear, I got good sleep last night. Ugh. I was trying to say, Virtua Racing. I know they released the Sega Ages version of Virtua Racing a couple of years ago, but I'm talking about like a completely new entry in Virtua Racing. Like, what I'm thinking is 6 different car classes, some brand new races, new game modes, visual options where you could play it sort of like either arcade visuals, 32x visuals, Saturn visuals, or modern visuals. Thunder Force, Thunderblade, Kid Chameleon. Not almost said Street Fighter. Not Virtua Fighter, because they did a re-release of the 5th game, and I know they're making the esports one as well, so that's good. So it couldn't be Virtua Fighter because they are bringing that back, which is good. That's some colorful advertising. Man, what? And not Daytona, because I know a couple of years ago they made the 3rd one in arcades, but what they could do is just make a console re-release of it. Billy Hatcher. That's another one. See, there's Billy Hatcher, Rice Star, Knights, you know. Hell, they even gave away the Saturn version of it on Steam last year for their 60th anniversary celebration. But they could definitely make a new installment. I know they made like a virtual slot machine recently, and it's appeared in some casinos. So, I mean, that's a sign. Sega Rally. Yeah, that's another one. Space Harrier. Man, there's so many games, like so many IPs that Sega can bring back. And all these first party IPs on a brand new Sega console would really, really, really make this thing a seller. Because if you think about it, Sega bringing all those back would be a dream come true to a whole lot of Sega fans. You know? They wouldn't call it a Dreamcast 2, though, because the Dreamcast was the console that nearly killed Sega, even as good a console as it is. And was. It was the console that nearly killed them because of rising competition and dwindling interest and whatnot. So as good as the Dreamcast was, it was just the competition that was coming up. Because at first it had really good success, but then the PS2 happened, and then the GameCube, and then the Xbox was the final nail in the coffin. Take all that and you get... yeah. Not a good look. Hey, at least you got a really good console, though. So, it's good. But the other thing I really want to see is I know this is gonna get announced and probably released soon. But yeah. Because again, I know home is coming back, alright? It's no brainer. I know it's coming back. All we need to do is just wait and see. But I don't think we have to wait too much longer because there's been long-standing rumors that we could be getting something from Sony on this date. This date, not this date. That. And I'll be there to see it. Now, if we look at Soho Engine, I'm just trying to see if there's anything new with this. No. It's registered. It's good. Now we just need to see what they're doing with this. I have some ideas, but the one key idea that I have is well, I think you know. And the key thing to look at here when it comes to evidence for home is stuff like this. Stuff that when you skim through this you wouldn't think much of it, but then you look at this and you think, what do they mean by external company? And then it hits you. An external company is a company that is outside of this. Like, for example, a clothing brand or a drink company or a car company or something like that. That's what they mean by an external company, is a corporate entity that is not directly related to the thing making the stuff for it. For example, they had Red Bull, they had Dr. Pepper 10, which I don't think they make it anymore. Do they? Hold on. What? Yeah, they did discontinue it. But I do remember that, and I do know I didn't experience this personally, but I have seen gameplay of it. But there was also the Red Bull stuff as well. Um, there was also clothing brands like Adidas and stuff like that. I think there was also Wrangler as well. Um, and Billabong. There was a whole lot of real life companies that partnered up with Sony and PlayStation in order to have their products, promoted on home. And this right here, you will communicate with the external companies and contractors with assistance. Isn't it starting to make sense? The external company, and then we have the contractors, which are the people who are basically commissioning them to. They're not commissioning, but, they're basically saying, hey, we would like you to sponsor this, so we want you to make this public space with free rewards and minigames and stuff in PlayStation Home. If you do that, then we'd greatly appreciate it, and maybe it'll drive up sales of our product. And it could be especially useful for companies that are making brand new products that they want to heavily promote. So this right here is solid evidence now that I think about it. Yeah. Plus, not only that, but there's also this little tidbit in Game AI. My phone just went like bling. Okay. So the thing about this job listing, whenever it first popped up, there wasn't that much on it. There really wasn't. It was a lot shorter in description, and then it had this. I think it had this, and then it didn't have this or this. It just had the top text and then the desirable experience. But here's the thing. The team at PlayStation London Studio was looking for a senior game AI programmer to join their gameplay team. We want you to be the leading light for game AI development in our studio, working with designers and the wider studio team. You will utilize your experience and passion for developing AI and NPC behaviors, ensuring delivery of studio technology that can be used depended upon to realize engaging and exciting gameplay. Alright, seems pretty cool. This is an exceptional opportunity for the right candidate to help shape a product that aspires to be best in class. Let's read on, shall we? Responsibilities. Prototyping new AI features and explore creative ideas with an absolute focus on quality in the player experience. Okay. Designing, developing, documenting, testing, and maintaining highly accessible AI features in close collaboration with other programmers, designers, and animators. Design and development of wider gameplay systems, AI-related tooling, and implementing game content. Okay, this right here, game content. Implementing it. Something about that seems a little related to online. Troubleshooting gameplay related issues throughout the team. continuously striving to deliver a highly entertaining interactive experience. I know where this is going. Proactively and methodically improving quality and efficiency. Who you are. Knowledge of various established game AI methodologies with a particular focus on decision frameworks, pathfinding, and spatial evaluation techniques. Experience working with animation and character related technologies. Experience working with small focused work groups and interfacing with a large multidisciplinary team. Excellent communication skills, approachability, passion, and aptitude for practical gameplay development. Excellent C++ programming skills. Proficiency in maths and 3D geometry. Good analytical and problem-solving skills. Robust software engineering and software architecture principles. Experience of working with and interfacing to a large code base, including systems such as graphics, physics, animation, audio, and networking. You're gonna see why this right here is important. Objective profiling, analysis, and optimization skills. An appreciation of parallelism and the implications for system design. And a methodical approach to debugging and problem solving in general. Desirable experience, the big kahuna. I say that despite me not being Hawaiian. I'm Texan. Development of a network-focused title. Let me spell that out for you. Development of a network-focused title. Network-focused title. What was PlayStation Home? Now, Sony called it a social gaming network, which kind of fits the bill of a network-focused title, if you will. And if you don't count this job listing, there's currently 6 of these. Very important to note. Alright, this is obscenely important to note. Because we looked at this. Now, another thing to note is that, for one, I'd like to bring up something. So, there was this blog post a couple of months ago from Tara Saunders and Stewart right here. And, it's not showing anything right now, but Tara said that their next game that they're going to be making, or have been making rather, because the thing is, this project that we're working on has likely been in development for a long time. And let me tell you something, alright? It's not unusual for a developer to have more than one project worked on. And let me tell you why. Miles Morales and then Ratchet & Clank. 2 games worked on simultaneously. Miles Morales, of course, was a launch title for the PS5, which, of course, was also released on PS4. But then we have Ratchet & Clank, a PS5 exclusive title released several months later in June. But then we have London Studio. It's possible, and I'm just putting this out there because of factual evidence that I have, that a lot of developers have been known to make things alongside other things. PlayStation Home, after it closed, has likely been worked on since its closure to make it way better. And of course, the Soho engine is going to power that. It's going to make it look way prettier with all new visuals and all this stuff. And with the power of PS5, load times are going to be like fast. But not only that, but you also have to factor in the fact that Home was a beta. And typically when you have a beta for something and it did well, you'd likely want to bring the whole real thing out soon. Only they couldn't really do that on PS4 because of the fact that if they immediately closed it down and then brought it over to PS4, that wouldn't really make much sense, now would it? That's like discontinuing a sports car and then like a few months later you make a new sports car that is named after that sports car but looks completely different and performs worse. In other words, to close down a beta on something and then immediately release that same thing, probably still in beta, on the successor to the platform that that thing was originally released on, not really a good idea. But by skipping PS4, London studios allowed themselves quite a lot of time to fine-tune PlayStation Home and work on it to an optimal level. And the thing is, I know that they released the VR Worlds thing and then Blood and Truth 2 years ago. But the thing is, though, like I said, some game companies are known to have multiple projects that they're working on. So, yeah. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, this right here is solid proof that Home is coming back. And if you want to know how, it's the fact that Home itself had a lot of potential, but it couldn't quite reach that potential because of the hardware it was on. Because according to what I've read, PlayStation Home, believe it or not, was sort of a resource hog on the PS3. Like, it really was. But on PS5, that's a different story. Now, another thing is, one of the job listings that was actually removed fairly recently was the multiplayer gameplay designer. Why is that important? Because at the very beginning of that description for the job listing, it says that the project that they're working on is specifically for PS5. They don't mention VR except saying the innovative things that they've made. But really, here's the thing. When you think of a multiplayer game, it doesn't really sound innovative, does it? Unless it's not multiplayer in the traditional sense. Because when you think of multiplayer, you think of something like Call of Duty or Battlefield or GTA Online. But it's not that. Partially because of the fact that there's no job listings for, sound design, there's no, game balancing job listings, there's nothing that would suggest it's like one of those competitive games. It's been a long day, guys. Bear with me. The thing that I think of whenever I think of these folks, London Studio, and multiplayer, is Home. Because Home, at least in a technical sense, was a multiplayer game. Experience. Because of the fact that you were able to play with other people, you were able to talk with other people. It's multiplayer. It's got a whole bunch of people online. It wasn't multiplayer in the traditional sense, though. It was technically multiplayer because of all the people that you can meet and talk to and stuff. But it wasn't multiplayer in the traditional sense that, oh, well, now we have to set up a match or some, we have to set up a team deathmatch or something like that. No. And again, they mentioned that this project is, innovative. You don't hear that thrown around too much when you see multiplayer. It's because of the fact that If they're fine-tuning how PlayStation Home works, that's how you do it. Because again, Home was technically multiplayer. In that you had people that you could talk to and stuff. Like, there were people online that you could see and stuff. But it wasn't multiplayer, like, that kind of multiplayer, basically. I suppose the thing I'm trying to say is, it's their multiplayer experience. Their online social gaming network, which is making a big comeback. I don't know when it's making a big comeback, but if this is any indication, right here, now, if you're curious about what this is, Article 195.4, I got you covered. It's nothing bad, by the way. It's just, well, I'll show you. So basically it says here, Article, ow! Hit my finger on the table. So, this is Article 195. And it has 4 in the parentheses. It says here, the office shall inform the proprietors, that's the owners of the trademark, of any earlier EU trademarks or trademark applications cited in the Union Search Report of the publication of the International Registration designating the Union as provided for in Article 191. This shall apply whether or not the holder of the international registration has requested to receive the EU search report unless the proprietor of an earlier registration or application requests not to receive the notification. So basically what it's saying is they're letting them know that they've done this in the past. And I guess they're just trying to see exactly what it is, so they're just interviewing them, basically asking them what it is and what it'll be and all that stuff. But when you put this and the multiplayer gameplay designer, which is no longer listed, by the way, saying that it's going to be innovative. Now here's the thing to consider. Technically, PlayStation Home wasn't the first virtual world style application in the world. There's plenty of others like Second Life. You know, there's Roblox. Although Roblox is more of a game thing. But my point being, there's a lot of virtual world style applications. But Home was and still is innovative in that there's no console-based virtual worlds at all. Nintendo hasn't done one, Xbox hasn't done one. And of course Sega hasn't done one because they haven't made a new console since, well, technically 2019 because of the Sega Genesis Mini, but that was a dedicated micro console, but whatever. But when you put all this stuff together, we have all these job listings. There's nothing really focusing on narrative or cinematics or, you know, level design or gameplay balancing and all that stuff. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it? Maybe we'll hear about what this is soon. How soon? Well, one of my guesses is next Thursday. If not next Thursday, then maybe September. But I think it's up to Sony, because I have heard that we're gonna have a August event, either a state of play or an actual like mini event, I guess. And then we're gonna have an event in September, sort of like what they did last year. What I do know, however, is that I'm excited and I'll be ready. And I will for sure, if they are doing a event next week, I will for sure be doing live coverage. Anyway, I think I've done enough droning on. But for now, I think I'm going to end the stream. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, then follow me if you want. I'll be uploading this to YouTube soon. And yeah, see you later.